Hey everyone. So first I want to say thank you so much for all the awesome and positive feedback on the last couple of episodes. It's just great to be received well by my community and know that I'm resonating with some of you. And I would love for you to keep writing in, leaving reviews, and letting me know what you want to hear on the show next. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 ways to set better boundaries at work. This one is so important to me and it's so near and dear to my heart because I'm thinking about the years I've been in my career and the phases I've gone through of finding myself and having a voice and being a leader, even if I don't have a leadership title, and focusing on growth in my career and redefining what success looks like. By the way, all of these are things I would love to share more on. But today, back to boundaries. So the first one is having a hard stop with meetings. I find this one to be important because all of us have coworkers who actually enjoy being in meetings, being on Zoom, hearing themselves talk. And then we also have coworkers who don't get their work done. And so that meeting becomes a working session and they can run overtime. And I never am more exhausted than the days where I have multiple meetings that are either impromptu or run way over time. And so I set expectations at the beginning of the meeting to say, I do have a hard stop at 2:30 p.m. So they know that I am not staying beyond that time. And it could be me and one other person, me and 20 people. And that hard stop could be something related to just getting off work to do something that is personal, but very, very important. And it helps people to stay on track. So I also am much better at it when I'm the host of the meeting because I refuse to just let these meetings go overtime. And a lot of times these things that are making the meetings drag on are actually tangential or need to be taken offline. And so I find this to be a great way to set a boundary. And if you're new into your career, sometimes it can feel a little scary and almost like you're not a quote team player if you're not willing to let someone take advantage of your time. So that is something that I do and it's been working. Another one is use your vacation time. And I'm not always so great at that. I sometimes feel like I should save my vacation time for a big trip where I'm like leaving the country. And then sometimes I don't even plan that trip after all. And I forget that sprinkled throughout the year, every quarter, I should be using a day or two where maybe I have no plans at all. I just want a day of not having to wake up to an alarm, maybe take a midday Pilates class, get a massage, go to the beach, have a Netflix marathon, just whatever it is that's for me. And what I love about my job is we have vacation time and we also have personal days. So it's just the extra, like an extra week to use for things like moving or buying a house or in my case, going to my nephew's graduation, just anything that is kind of personal. You're not like actually on vacation, but it's helpful to be away from work for the day. I just would really emphasize to use your vacation time. That old school way of thinking that only hard workers get ahead is not totally true. If you work hard, you should also play hard. And if you're working hard, you should also find rest. And it doesn't have to be a trip to Bali. It could be just a way to get away from the office. And I think the other precedent that it sets is that you don't just come with the furniture. And so instead of you always getting work dumped on you and you being the fill-in for people because you never take a day off, take a day off so they can question and spread that work out amongst all the other people in the office as they should. I always say this and it's kind of harsh, but if I were to pass away today, they might send out a memo and there would be a job requisite up online for my job the next day. So with that being said, the office can go a day or a week or 2 weeks without me. And the office can go a day or 2 weeks without you as well. Take your vacation time. The next one is to block off your lunch hour on your schedule. Now, I know that we all may have different careers. I'm more of in a corporate role, which is a typical 9 to 5, even though I don't work 9 to 5 as my business hours. So I work off of an Outlook calendar and have lots of meetings. And then I have work that I have to do in between those. And so maybe if you're in a different type of role, the way that you do your schedule and your lunch hour may be different. But in this traditional type corporate role, many of us can take a lunch when we feel like it. 11, 1 p.m. and we can use it how we feel like it. We can go for a walk. We can sit at our desk and eat. We can get some fresh air. We can run an errand or something like that. But many of us don't actually block off our lunch hour. And if you work in a place where people don't respect lunch hours, then you might find that you don't actually get time for a lunch, or you don't get like an uninterrupted lunch. And there's nothing that bothers me more than sitting at my desk wanting to just watch a few TikTok videos or read a digital book on my phone, and someone will say, "Oh, you're here. Well, while I've got you, quick question for you." So what I've learned to do is to leave my desk at lunch, or I will say, "Oh, is this urgent? Is this something that can wait till 1 p.m.? I'm just going to go ahead and have my lunch right now, but I'm happy to help you at a different time." And for those who struggle with this, newer in your career, or just tend to be a little bit like conflict averse or more of a people pleaser type, it may feel scary at first, but not only are you setting healthy boundaries for yourself, you're setting an example with your other coworkers that they can follow as well and say, "Wow, he or she is taking a lunch break right now. I should probably go and do the same." Or seeing you go out to go walking or getting away from your desk, people might learn this is not a good time to be pestering people. Let me use this hour to go and relax myself. So I think this is an excellent one. And I have been in many organizations where I have been an advocate for us all blocking our lunch hour so that we have a little bit of rest in between meetings. The next one I think is super important, and that is reviewing your priorities with your supervisor. No matter what level you are in an organization, usually there's someone you are checking in and reporting to, and that person may be also passing work to you throughout the week. It may not just be the once a week type of thing. So if they're giving you a lot of work and you're starting to feel like, I can't get this all done in a day or a week, it is time to review your priorities. It's time to send that email, because it's always good to have things in writing, to say, "You have me working on project A, project B, and project C. I understand that you'd like me to have those done by Wednesday, but you've also just given me project D. Am I to understand that these are still the highest priority, or would you like me to shift my priority to project D?" And if they say, it's all the 3 projects or it's all 4, then you need to then communicate, "Hey, well, I believe this is going to take me X amount of time, and therefore I'm going to need this." I think around boundaries, it's a two-way street. So it's, if someone is asking you to do something by a certain time and you know that's not realistic, it's about getting ahead of it and communicating that ahead of time to say that this is not reasonable. I will need more time, or I will need more resources, not waiting till the time that it's due and then saying I didn't get it done because I had too many things. And I found that in leadership roles for me, what has been helpful is to find a way to talk to the customer and get a little more time. But with that employee, I will also say, what are some non-essential meetings that we can pull off of your calendar and block off some focus time for you to get this done? And so just keep that in mind. If you are feeling overwhelmed and you just have way too much that is due and there's all these urgent deadlines, sometimes you need to reprioritize, because you can't be everywhere at once. The last one with setting boundaries at work, my number 5, is teach people how to do things instead of doing it for them. Now, there is an interesting dynamic with corporate America. I find that the same dynamics that existed in middle school and high school still exist in the workplace. And so you have people who are bullies, you have people pleasers, you have people who are conflict averse, you have people who are tattletales, you have people that are always monitoring what other people are doing. You have all these different people dynamics that most of us became very familiar with at the age of 12 or 14 or 15, something like that. And what I've noticed is that sometimes the people that are a little bit more of like users or bullies is they will take advantage of the skills and knowledge of certain employees and have those people doing the work for them. And then they will use flattery to say, "Oh, well, you're just so much better at it. And if you don't mind, oh my God, you're the best," right? And so there's all this flattery, but in reality, that person is getting out of doing a job that is assigned to them. So I find myself in probably every organization I've ever been in thinking about and reviewing the rules and saying, is this part of my job? Yes, I know how to do it. But if you think of like the business processes like Lean Sigma and that sort of thing, they always want people to do the job that they're most skilled at, because that is what saves the most time and money for the company. And so if there is something that I need to gain skills on, that's one thing. But if I'm just simply trying to skirt around and get out of doing my job by having someone else do it, that's problematic. And so the same thing, if people are coming to me with the same question, then I can point them to maybe a standard of work of some sort, or I can say, hey, why don't you block out 30 minutes on my calendar? I have some time in the afternoon and I can show you how to do this task. And then once I've met with them, I may follow up with an email and say, so as we talked about earlier, this is where you find those documents, right? Because sometimes you have people coming to you. It's not even like a how-to. It's just a where is. They're bugging you because they didn't save a link or something. And so it's about saying, hey, I have this on my favorites list, and this is just a really quick way for me to get to it. Maybe you could do that on your end so that you can find it a lot faster. And another thing, kind of close to the whole teaching, is sometimes I just take a little longer to respond. Sometimes when you don't respond within 5 minutes or 15 minutes to these non-urgent questions, people figure it out. And that is like a very beautiful thing to give someone, is the opportunity to figure it out and solve their own problem. It will also free up a lot of your time at work, and it will change to you having healthier relationships with people who are way too reliant on you to do a job that they're supposed to be doing. What I'm finding is we are getting towards the end of the year, and burnout is so real. I mean, honestly, I don't know. You may be listening to this far into the future where it's not the end of the year, it's the beginning of the year. Burnout is a real thing and it's a concern of mine. But sometimes it's not about leaving the job. It's about setting boundaries where you are, everywhere you are, so that people know how to treat you and so that you're not stretched beyond your limits. Because that's important. You're at your best when you're not stretched beyond your limits. I hope these 5 tips helped you. And if you can think of anyone who is feeling this kind of pressure or stress in their work environment, why don't you send them this episode and see if they can gain some understanding or tips to navigate the workplace with a little more peace. I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next episode.